Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my Daily Dose with Tim. Today is season 2, episode 52. And if you have been following throughout the entire season 2, then you know this episode is actually airing and coming to you in the year 2021 now. So we've all managed to battle through an unprecedented year 2020. And so here's a congratulations to everybody who really weathered through it or cruised through it or thrived in it or just barely surviving it in 2020. And here's to a much better 2021 to everybody. And what that also means is that today we're going to keep carrying on with part 5 of a case study example on a multifamily unit income properties. And so in the last few episodes, we've been building up the different key performance indicators, so our KPIs when it comes to looking at income properties as well. And a lot of the KPIs that I've shared with you really focus a lot more on buildings that have multiple units, meaning that it's a lot easier for you to scale as well. However, after this initial case study on a multifamily unit, we're gonna go back and look at single family homes as well. So again, I don't want anybody to really think about the fact that just because it's income properties, you have to just focus on multifamilies, because I understand a lot of the times it really starts with a smaller property as well. And this is why we always say that we want to make sure that you learn how to crawl before you walk, and make sure that you know how to walk properly before you can run. And so in the last episode specifically, what we really looked at is building upon the exact same example that we've been working on now over the last 4 episodes. Now it's the 5th one, part 5, on a case study, is the fact that last episode we raised the revenue to a total of $104,320 on an annual basis. And that simply, I don't know if you guys took pictures. I basically did that. Whoops, I don't know if you can see this. I guess not. Oh, weird, because I'm using a virtual background, so it's not showing. Either way, what we were saying is, if you just came from the last episode, it's probably still very fresh in your mind. If you watched the last episode a while back now, I'm just gonna quickly remind you as well, and I'm gonna write that down so that this way everybody is still on the same page. So what we did was, let's say average rent was $710 per unit per month. We moved it up to $800. That's simply because of the fact that currently every single unit is charging what we will call below market rent. And so one of the biggest goals is always to make sure that we bring it back to market or fair market rent. However, in this particular case, I'm just going to say that 800 is still below fair market rent. So FMR stands for fair market rent. Now, that being said, what we also did was we are also going to be encouraging the tenants in the building to start using the laundry units within the building, so they don't have to bus or walk or drive to a laundromat as well. And that could be basically just reminding them that it's available to them. You can adjust the prices per load, or you can just do a little bit more marketing, give them some incentives, something we addressed as well. So, whoops, sorry, 160 is the after number. So let me erase this. So what we did there was, I believe, laundry, at first, we basically just say 120 on a monthly basis. Ooh, what happened? 120 on a monthly basis. So we also raised that too. So this is also us being a little conservative in the beginning. Okay. And last but not least, we knew that this particular building has a couple of vending machines within. And what we were saying before, it was 540 a year. So I forgot what that meant. So $450 per month in revenue from the vending machine, and we're just raising it up by about $50. Once again, very conservative. Okay, all we're talking about here is what are some of the small things we can do right now without having to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to really spruce up the property. Okay, so, and as a result, we managed to raise the revenue up to 142 as opposed to the original number or original revenue of 126, 120. So what that means is this is a buying as is. So remember when we walk into IKEA, there's usually an as is area, or even if you go into Lowe's or Home Depot, there's always some as is areas where it's, they're selling open box items, or basically this is what you see is what you get kind of idea. And there's a price tag that's attached to it, except that in this particular case, what we're looking at is when we take over the property, their current revenue is 126, 120 as we calculated from part one of this case study. And in the last episode, we did all these things to raise the revenue. And as a result, what we did was we got a new NOI. And how do we get that? Well, assuming that all of our expenses stays the same right now, because technically it should. Okay, if it stays the same right now, let me grab that number for you, is 84,314.08. Remember, without raising any sort of expenses, we basically just did something very minor, meaning we're either serving notice to raise the rent, or we're letting people know that, hey, if you don't like the new amount, maybe you can move out. But this is also why we only adjusted it to $90 more on average per unit, as opposed to, let's say, going through the entire stabilization period, where once you've served the notice, maybe the tenants are going, you know what, that's a little too high, I'm going to move out. And then we're going to have to budget in for marketing, vacancy, repairs, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so we're just going with some conservative baby steps on improving the revenue portion of it. So what that means is if we take revenue and then we minus the expenses, so 142,320 minus 84,314.08, that means now we have a new NOI of 58,005.92. Okay, that means we have a new NOI of 58,005.92. So now that we have our purchase price, as we remember, is 724. Okay, 724. So the original cap rate was, where was it? It was 5.78%. 5.78%. Okay, and so I'm gonna quickly walk you through why this is so powerful now. Okay, a lot of people call it the magic of cap rates. To me, there's not a whole lot of magic behind anything, because a lot of times when you're going through a refinance process, especially if you're in the Canadian markets, you'll likely want to go through an entity, what we call CMHC, Canadian Mortgage and Housing. CMHC, Canadian Housing, Mortgage and Housing, I forgot what, corporation, there we go. The last C stands for corporation. For some reason, I had the word association in my mind. So that is the entity that you likely will want to do your refi through. Why? Because they are number one Crown corporation, so government owned. But what that really means is that they have the longest amortization period and currently known as the lowest interest rate possible. So the point is not those two things, but rather the fact that they actually have their own set of numbers in terms of market cap rate. So what we want to look at is assuming that at 5.78, which means, once again, the building itself as is, we are able to get financing through CMHC. That means on a refi basis, that typically means that they've already fixed the cap rate for that particular market at 5.78. But let's think about this. What is the cap rate formula? Well, so let's look at new cap. New cap is NOI, so new NOI divided by the purchase price. So in this particular case now, we have, once again, 58,005.92. And our purchase price was 724. So let's do the math here. Divided by 724. That means we've now just managed to raise the cap rate from 5.78% to 8.01%. So we've increased, by definition, the performance of the building. However, let's reverse engineer this. What I really want to get at now is what the potential purchase price is, leveraging the new NOI. However, the original cap rate, which means, if you followed so far, what CMHC has deemed that market cap rate is, okay? So I'll go into explaining why that's important in a little bit, but let's get that figure first. So what we will do now is, if 5.78 is fixed constant, okay, and we're trying to figure out the purchase price, our new NOI is this. What would the purchase price be? So what we will now do is we'll take 58,005.92 divided by 0.0578, because it's 5.78%. So what that means is that, I'm going to use a different color, is that potentially, if we keep the same cap rate, this building maximum purchase price is now just a bit over $1 million. So 1,003,562.6. Okay, so why is this important? Is because of the fact that when you are doing a refinance now, so depending on what the loan to value is, for demonstration's sake today, what we're going to say, so new LTV, loan to value on refi, is, let's just say 75%. Let's just say 75%, and this could happen within 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, even 5 years. Obviously, in my opinion, it's in everybody's best interest to shorten that time frame as quickly as possible, because that really is just an indication of how quickly you can improve the performance of a piece of asset. And when you can start to build that track record where you're improving asset performance in a shorter amount of time, you're going to have a lot of lenders looking at you, even if CHC does not want to look at you down the road. Again, for my friends that are watching this from other countries, the same principles would apply. It just depends on what your lending bodies or your lenders would actually want to see as well. But the whole point now is, upon refinancing, because we know that there's going to be fees and whatnot as well. So let's just say if, okay, I'm going to do a different color now. So if you're going to do a $1 million refinance at 75%, okay, so what that means is you're going to pull out $750,000. And guess what? Our initial amount of money in was, well, our purchase price of $724,000. Okay, and let's not forget that we also had some initial investment money putting in there. So those are the things like inspection and appraisal and fees, other fees, legal fees, all added up together. And so if you go back to, I believe this was maybe the first episode where we were listing out all the numbers, okay, then what that means is, where is my initial investment? Let's add this all up. So we have 2,500, 2,500, 3% of the purchase price. I'm looking for a straight up number here. Hopefully I can find it. If not, then we're just gonna add it up manually. Doesn't look like I actually have it here. So cost of acquisition, nope. So then what we're gonna do is this. So 2,500 plus the 2,500 plus the 15,000 plus 3% of the purchase price. So 724 times 3% plus the 20,000. Okay, so what that means now is acquisition cost was a total of 41,720. Okay, 41,720. And so add the two of them up, that means 724,000 plus 41,720. So $765,720. So that's the money that we had to put into the deal, and 750 is what we pull out of the deal upon refinance. So what that means is there is a difference of, what do we call it now? 15,720 plus refi fees. Okay, so refi fees really varies in this particular case. So what that means is, what we want to focus on here is 15,720. Maybe let's just tag on $20,000 again on refi fees, for example. So $35,000 is what we call money left in the deal. Okay, money left in the deal. But what that really means now at this point is that, think about it. Let's say you manage to make this happen, just raising revenue and nothing else, within 1 year, within 1 year after you take possession of the property. You have now taken a property that is currently deemed to be worth $724,000 and turn it into a property that's worth $1,003,562.60. So really, long story short, let's just do the ballpark number. That means you've effectively improved the asset value by nearly $280,000. We're not even counting what we already found out during the last episode, your increased cash flow. So I know right now this time of the year is, in North America especially, is what we call a boxing week, or a continuous boxing week after the holidays. This is the kind of boxing week deal that I would like to see every time I actually look at an opportunity to analyze as well. And so what this means now is, the question ultimately you have to ask yourself is, would you spend $35,000? And you know what, let's just say maybe 100 hours, even 200 hours of your time throughout an entire calendar year to create a monthly cash flow of $2,200 and adding approximately $280,000 in your net worth or into your real estate portfolio. I'm hoping the answers that you're giving me are yeses, because that's effectively what the numbers mean. And so again, a lot of the times, when we're doing deal analysis, it's exciting to some people, especially if you're very analytical, and it's fun for me as well. However, after all is said and done, it really boils down to how you interpret the numbers based on how it fits your SMP, how it fits your strategies that will contribute to your goals. Because again, while it might sound really good, this may not be something that you would like to do right now either. So to each their own. And that's why there's never really a one-size-fits-all path, in my personal opinion, and having worked with a lot of different investors, as well as just people coming from different walks of life as well. So it needs to be fitting to your goal. However, when it comes to a deal like this, if you can generate a monthly cash flow of $2,200, even if this is a joint venture type of deal where you have to split 50-50, I still think that the numbers are pretty strong in this particular case. Okay, so that's what I wanted to focus on with everyone, is to really think about, okay, the fact that improving your NOI has always been the name of the game. And I think I've been talking about that ever since the first episode that I did to cover this particular topic. So many people are talking about cap rates and cash flows and everything else. However, everything really does start with having a strong and healthy NOI that you can also improve upon, and the rest will fall into place. And so that's it for today's episode, and I will keep going with this one and continue to build upon it. And the next one we're going to be dealing with is, now that we've raised the revenue, can we take a look at the expensive column and see if there's anything that we can make changes to further improve our NOI as well? Because once we've got our NOI solidified, then we can actually start to think about how we are going to finance this particular deal, because that's where it gets fun. Because when we start to really deal with lending and structuring the deal, that's when we're really applying the knowledge that we have to get it to the finish line. Okay, so with that said, thank you so very much for joining me today again and for watching this episode. Thank you for those of you who reached out over the last little while to ask me when the next episode is going to come up. And a lot of you guys know that over the holidays, I did lose my last dog. And so for those of you who are animal lovers and dog lovers, you probably can relate to this as well. But the point is, I did make a very conscious decision to spend the last 5 weeks of my dog's life, Mia, her last few days on earth, with her a lot more as well. And so consciously decided to clear up my schedule, because ultimately this is what financial independence or financial freedom needs to be doing for everybody, is to give you the time freedom that you have to really spend with the people that you really want to spend time with and can make the time for. And so that's exactly what I did. Lost the very first dog I ever had. She had a very good life of 14 years and 7 months. So very happy. It's just that it really happened in a very short amount of time, and did not see that coming. But very grateful for the lifestyle that we have. And this is why a lot of people ask me, why am I so passionate about elevating people's financial education through real estate? I mean, once again, this is ultimately about financial education, because I got quite a few things that I'm ready to share with everybody. And season 3 now coming up after the season is done is the power of really understanding numbers and how money works. Real estate is completely secondary. So don't get sucked into any tricks or tips or, just headlines in general, because this is what these episodes are made for, is hopefully to help you debunk, demyth a lot of things so that you can start to learn the proper way. And again, right now we're leveraging real estate. But either way, I thank you for taking the time and for waiting for me to come back to finish season 2. And I hope you're enjoying it. And thank you for the comments. Thanks for the questions. And more importantly, if you do like this and you think that there are other people out there that can benefit from the content, I appreciate you sharing this, and please continue to share the message with the rest of the world. And I will see you back here in the next episode. Have a great evening, everybody.